So Joe Biden is wrong on Syria. Joe Biden is wrong on Syria. Joe Biden is wrong on Venezuela. So Donald Trump tries to get out of Syria, and you got Joe Biden saying that he sold out the Kurds. No, Joe Biden, we need Kurdistan. Just go ahead and set up Kurdistan. We already got Iraq, right? It's just the northern. Just cut the top part. That's Kurdistan. Being against the war is not... So, Joe Biden's made comments that says that he's going to be in favor of the Syrian war. He's already ordered the 40 trucks and the armored vehicles. 200 U.S. troops arrived with helicopter protection into the Hasaka region. So we're going to take over the Hasaka province of Syria. For whatever reason, Hasaka is ours. Okay, so we got Hasaka, and there's some oil fields. So we're going to go ahead and take the oil. So I guess that's good for Chevron and BP and for, you know... all the oil, not Shitgo or Sitgo, but what, Route 66? I don't know. So Trump said we had to secure Syria's oil, and here we got Joe Biden doing Donald Trump's plan. So Joe Biden is just like Donald Trump in Syria. Joe Biden is just like Donald Trump in Venezuela. It's fucking bullshit. Now he's saying the right things about, you know, the Yemeni genocide, saying we're going to get out, but it's been 4 or 5 days. He's already ordered the troops into Syria, right? And he's going to recognize Juan Guiado as the president of Venezuela. Here he is, October 5th, 2020. This is about a month before the election. It got over 7,000 views. This is Joe Biden saying, yes, he's in favor of a coup d'etat on the sovereign nation of Venezuela. A sovereign nation which has done absolutely no harm to us, poses absolutely no threat to us. For now.
Continue to oppress the rights of their people. We should be leading the international effort to confront the massive humanitarian crisis in Venezuela. Maduro, who I've met, is a dictator, plain and simple. And he's causing incredible suffering among the Venezuelan people.
So anybody can just say he's a dictator, right? Vladimir Putin's a dictator. He's been in there for 20 years, 17 years or some shit. That motherfucker in Belarus, he's been in there for 20 years. How about Paul Biya? We got troops in Cameroon, the president of Cameroon. He's got a bunch of fraudulent bullshit elections, but that's our side, right? That's the devil we know. We'd rather be on the devil. Let's stop supporting these goddamn devils. If the policy of America is we stop dictatorships, then I would suggest let the president serve 2 terms, 12 years is FDR, and if they go above 2 terms and 12 years, then you say they're a dictator but you took a decade. You got a decade, my God, if you could have done what you want to do in a decade's time, you're not going to get it done. Get somebody in there, get a brand new president in there. If that's the policy, but that's not the policy of America. We know why Joe Biden wants to go into Venezuela. We know why Joe Biden wants to go into Venezuela.
To maintain his grip on power. The Venezuelan people need our support to recover their democracy and rebuild their country. That's why I would immediately grant temporary protector status to Venezuelans as president, so the Republicans in the Senate can't keep blocking it. Like they did again.
Well, that's actually a smart thing, Joe Biden, since we're the ones causing the turmoil in Venezuela. We're sabotaging the electric grids. We robbed their gold. We stole the oil refineries, gave it to Juan Guaido, said he's the president. But Juan Guaido goes into Venezuela, and the Venezuelan people are just attacking the shit out of him. Venezuela poses no danger to America right now. War with Venezuela will bring war onto America's soil. The Monroe Doctrine is dead. The Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans are what protect us from the rest of the world. But if we're going to start, attacking people in our own backyard, as Nixon said, that's our front yard, you stupid fuck. We need to treat Latin America and South America, all the nations of the Americas, the Western Hemisphere, as equals. We can't militarily dominate. That's gonna bring war onto our soil.
again just last week. I'll make sure we're...
Yeah, so, we should take in the refugees from Venezuela, because if we're going to fuck up their country, then they need a safe haven to go to. We should also do it for, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Colombia, Panama, any other, Bolivia. We should accept all the Bolivian, the Cuban refugees. We need to accept all these refugees, because we keep meddling in their affairs, and, we're trying to say that their nation is terrible, but they got the empire breathing down their neck. So we know why. We know why Joe Biden is going to say that Juan Guiado is the goddamn president of Venezuela. He's showing that he's in favor of coup d'etats. He's in favor of toppling governments, not because they're engaged in genocide, not because they're engaged in slavery, not because they've invaded another nation, which is what Adolf Hitler's crime was for those who are opposed to the Nazis. The half of the country that's still decent human beings that are against the Nazis. But this type of shit, the Yemeni genocide, that's Nazi shit. That's what a Nazi empire would do. And even though the American people might not know it, the rest of the world knows what the fuck is going on. The reason why Joe Biden wants to invade Venezuela is because they got more oil than everybody else in the entire goddamned world. Number one nation, 308 billion barrels or some shit. Venezuela is also a socialist nation, and you had all that, anti-Russia, anti-communist talk back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. We overthrew Chile in 1973 because of a socialist president. We overthrew Iran in 1953 because they were a socialist president. And so, we know why. We know why Joe Biden wants to invade Venezuela, to steal their oil. Just like we did in Iraq, just like we're doing in Syria right now, just like we did in Libya under the Barack Obama administration when Joe Biden was the president. Over and over again. So Venezuela is a socialist nation. That's a bad example for America. My God, we don't want to have Americans to have a free exchange of ideas. If they consider socialism, green eggs and ham, shit, they just might become socialists. You know what socialism is? Socialism is for the people. So if you're opposed to socialism, you're against the people. Socialism says the people can run the factories and the machines, and we can take care of ourselves. We don't need a capitalist class whatsoever. The workers can run the factories. The workers can run the farms. So Venezuela is socialist. Terrible example. They got all that motherfucking oil, right? I want to say Libya and Syria are kind of socialist too, but we did it in 2002. George W. Bush kidnapped Hugo Chavez for 2 days, and then public outroar calls him to be released or something like that. So Nicolas Maduro was actually hoping for a better day. Nicolas Maduro was like, well, shit, brand new president, brand new day. But that's what Hugo Chavez thought with Barack Obama. Gave him the Latin America veins, right? The veins, the split veins or whatever. So Joe Biden is, when it comes to Venezuela, is a piece of shit. He's got a piece of shit opinion. He's absolutely wrong 100% for oil, for socialism, because of empire. Let's be honest. It's because empire. Because a fascist empire thinks that they can do whatever the hell that they want to do. And that's bullshit, because here's another reason to be opposed to the war with Venezuela. This is our empire. So Russia, China, Europe, Africa, every other motherfucking continent, stay off the Western Hemisphere. We Americans, North Americans, can run our own affairs. The only way that you see Russia or China or Germany or the United Kingdom's troops coming into America is if we invite it, or if we perpetuate war crimes, genocide, slavery. If we invade Venezuela, then we give a pretense for the rest of the world to get a foothold, to get, to set up shop, to anchor right here in our hemisphere. That's dangerous. That's dangerous and stupid. We got to treat each other like brothers and sisters. Why don't we just have elections for all the nations of South America and Central America? If they want to become part of America, let the people decide. If they don't, that means they're a sovereign nation who doesn't want to become part of the United States of America, and we will just have to accept that. We're not going to force them and say, you will definitely be our friend, and put a gun at their head. Occupations don't work. People remember it forever and ever, and then once you're gone, it'd be like, you know, good fucking riddance. So here's Emma Vigilant. If you don't believe me, maybe you believe Emma Vigilant when she talks about how Juan Guaido is not the president. Juan Guaido has not received one single vote from any Venezuelan citizen to become the president of Venezuela. He was a senator, a representative or some shit, and became the president amongst himself of the Constituent Assembly, something like that. So none of the citizens voted for Juan Guaido. So that's just America looking around and being like, okay, Nancy Pelosi, you're the president. Oh, okay, Mitch McConnell, you're the president.
According to an Axios report, Trump is having second thoughts about recognizing Guaido as the legitimate leader in Venezuela, perhaps because he's not the legitimate leader in Venezuela. He was not elected to be president. Unlike Maduro, you can question the election integrity in Venezuela, but Maduro is certainly more of the president of the nation than Guaido is. You don't need to like him, but that's just the reality. So, yeah, I mean, you don't just get to call the opposition leader president just because you like him more.
Oh!
Yeah, I think Nancy Pelosi's president. She's president. She's president. I've just decided that Ocasio-Cortez is president of the United States. Sorry. That's basically what they're doing.
That is exactly what they're doing. The European Union no longer recognizes Juan Guaido as the president. This is Reuters, January 6, 2021. Brussels, the European Union can no longer legally recognize Venezuelan opposition leader Juan Guaido as the country's interim president. So the bloc's 27 governments said that. The European Union does not recognize Juan Guaido. He's not the president. The only way you can pretend he is, and you want to install him as a puppet, but that's a coup d'etat. And that's what you're pushing for. A coup d'etat, a military takeover of the government, and then you want to install the puppet of Juan Guaido. And that's assuming he would even be friendly to us. He might be like, Jesus Christ, is Juan Guaido the president of America? Is the tail wagging the dog? You don't know that. America, you're going to run off a cliff with Juan Guaido. You don't even know who he is and what he stands for. Some young politician in fucking Venezuela, you're just going to pick a name out of a hat? You probably should vet the guy, right? You probably should see who Juan Guaido actually is. So Emma Vigilant understands, that he's not the president. I understand it. The European Union understands it. Joe Biden everybody understands what the hell is going on. They're playing war games because it's a socialist nation sitting on a shit ton of oil, and we're the empire, and we run the world. They don't have any nuclear weapons. That's another reason. We don't fuck with the nuclear nations. We only fuck with the ones that have a military that we could defeat. And so we are encouraging Venezuela to get themselves a nuclear weapon. Because if they get it, then they'll be protected from the empire. It's actually the only way they will be protected. They're going to, I guess, the conscience of the American people and the conscience of the people of the world, that's the only way that we got sanctions on them. We got sabotaging their goods, stealing their gold, stealing their oil refineries, giving it to this Guaido, but Maduro's only been in there for 7 years. Putin's a bigger dictator than Maduro. The Belarus president is a bigger dictator than Maduro. And Paul Biya, who is a Cameroon. We need to stop the war in Yemen, stop the war in Palestine, stop the war in Cameroon, and stop the war in Venezuela. Right now, Joe Biden, you're the commander-in-chief. You can unilaterally end these wars. Donald Trump did it when he vetoed the NDAA. You cut the purse strings. And I heard Somalia, the people in Somalia, they're small business owners. That's who we're attacking in Somalia, a bunch of small business owners. So Joe Biden will support, and Donald Trump will support Paul Biya We got troops in Cameroon right now giving Paul Biya a bunch of money and a bunch of protection. The U.S., supposedly to fight Boko Haram, which are terrorists, which need to be defeated. But it's with a corrupt dictator, Paul Biya, fake fraudulent elections, a bunch of bullshit. He's a dictating piece of shit, spends his vacations in Switzerland, doesn't care about his nation whatsoever. That's the guy that we're supporting. That's the guy we can actually do something about that because we got troops and shit over there. Hey, Paul Biya, get the elections right now. Cameroon, let's fix the elections in Cameroon. It's been a bunch of bullshit. Talk about rigged elections. Their elections are actually rigged, fraudulent bullshit elections. Not like the big lie of the orange Cheeto fuckface McGee, Mr. Private Citizen now. God, that does feel liberating as fuck. Joe Biden is going to be as conservative as America lets him. So we got to push Joe Biden to be as progressive as possible because he's just going to run to the right. He's been doing it his whole life. He's center-right or outright right-wing when it comes to Venezuela, overthrowing a socialist nation. That's a failing imperialist capitalist system. If capitalism is so good, then why wouldn't it just take hold? But imperialism, the reason why we're going to go after Venezuela and their oil is because we need to steal raw materials. That's the only way an imperialistic capitalistic system can maintain itself. They need to find more scapegoats, more victims, steal the raw materials, whether it's uranium in Niger or lithium in Bolivia or oil in Venezuela. That's what a failing empire, a failing capitalistic imperialist nation has to do in order to save itself. This is bullshit. It's not moral. It's not conscionable. It's absolutely wrong. Venezuela poses no threat to us, but these stupid fucking war games is going to escalate out of control, and it's going to make the situation way, way worse. Anthony Blinken, he says, this is the Secretary of State, so this is Joe Biden that says, Maduro's a dictator, so expect it. Juan Guiado is going to be, recognized as the damn president of Venezuela, and it's a total shit show. It's a bullshit sham. It's 100% delusion. It's not true. America, it's not true. They're lying straight to your faces, and they're pushing for a coup d'etat. They're going to say the D.C. riots that Donald inspired is a bad thing, because that's a coup d'etat. They're going to shove a Patriot Act 2.0 down our throats because of it. They're lying to you. They are lying to you. Juan Guaido is not the president of Venezuela. The European Union knows it. The whole world knows it. Anybody who's paying attention knows what's going on in Venezuela. Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, had mentioned that he was going to recognize Juan Guaido as the president. So that's, fucking Biden. Biden's been consistent. That's the Secretary of State. He's not going to do anything that... So, Jesus, fuck, man. Biden, you're wrong about Venezuela. You're 100% wrong. Maybe you should read that, was it Edward Galeano, The Open Veins of Latin America. Over and over again, the United States empire is plundered, murdered, pillaged because they're socialists? Shut the fuck up. That's stupid and bullshit. Because they have a different economic system than we do, they run their country based on a different economic theory. That's not a reason to kill somebody. If they're threatening you, if they're hurting people, if they got homeless in all these streets, if they have cops just shooting people all over the place, if it's a warmonger nation who keeps invading this and that country, well, that's all reasons to stand up against the government. But that's not what we're seeing in Venezuela. This is all bullshit. He's all about war in Syria. He's all about war in Venezuela. He's talking about stopping the Yemeni genocide, but who the fuck knows? These Democrats are a bunch of pansies, and they act like because they, saber rattle more than the Republicans that they're stronger. I'm not impressed. They don't impress me much. You know what would be impressive? If Joe Biden was like a Jimmy Carter, who opposes the imperial presidency and didn't fire a single shot in 4 years. Jimmy Carter didn't fire a single shot. The U.S. empire, not one shot. Right after Vietnam, right? The height of our idealism. A peanut farmer. So, what else? Is she going to say anything else? Let's fast forward in the middle.
Like Nicolas Maduro. Trump does not admire Maduro. He's been up Guaido's butt for this entire time, and now he's turning on him because he thinks Guaido is weak. He kind of is. He's just the de facto leader of the more further right party in Venezuela. So the right-wing hawks and neoliberals like Joe Biden are pro-Guaido. He continues, as president, I will stand with the Venezuelan people and for democracy. Not recognizing Maduro is the opposite of democracy. Again, Maduro is more democratically elected by like 100 times than Guaido, who was not elected.
How absolutely surreal is this fucking horse shit? And if he would have got elected again, we'd have to keep on going with this fucking surreal bullshit. Maduro, Joe Biden said that he would only talk to Maduro if he agreed to brand new elections and release political prisoners. Joe Biden's not being serious. Fucking talk to Maduro, Joe Biden. Jesus Christ, man. You're going to overthrow the nation. You're going to destabilize the whole world. If we invade Venezuela, they invade us, that's going to turn into absolute pandemonium. That will be fucking crazy as fuck. And stupid. And we're on the wrong side. That will destabilize America, and that will destabilize the world. So, empires come and go. So this might be, maybe this is just the empire begging. You know what? We've been around for a long time. Let's just do something dumb and fucked up, Let's just do something dumb and fucked up. See what happens, right? Let's just see if the people go for it, and that's dumb. That is stupid. So, he's not going to talk to Maduro unless he has new elections and releases political prisoners. They could just say that about us, right? Didn't we just have a fraudulent election according to our own president? And Mumia Abu-Jamal is in jail. Edward Snowden needs to be pardoned. We got political prisoners here, so don't even act like you got, some moral superiority.
Who was not elected? You can call into, you can talk about the legitimacy of the Venezuelan elections. I understand that. That's a debate that can be had.
This was posted June 22nd, 2020, when Emma Vigilant was a badass. She's on the right side of history. I don't know if she's going to push Joe Biden to get out of Venezuela, if she's going to speak up against it. Very disappointed in a lot of these folks, but ultimately she understands this is surreal. This is insanity. This is the emperor wears no clothes. Look at the emperor. He's totally naked. Let's pretend he's got a big flowing gown. No, Juan Guaido's not the president. I don't want to waste our time running down a rabbit hole trying to convince the goddamned world that he's the fucking president of a nation that he's not the president of. Venezuela's got a shit ton of oil, more oil than every other nation in the world. That's a major reason. That's a big motive to go in, in there. Socialism. We don't like socialism over here in our hemisphere. Grenada, Ronald Reagan invaded Grenada because the communists, and the Nicaragua, they keep on using that communist bullshit just to go after the enemies of corporations. I don't want to overthrow Venezuela to help Chevron's bottom lines. I don't want British Petroleum making record profits every fucking year, and we got to pay $3 a gallon for gas. Gas should be $1 a gallon. What was the point, right? When it's all about oil, and we're not even getting the benefits of it? What the fuck? But that's a different point. So this is totally surreal. Emma Vigilant, I'll give you the last word.
He had. But Guaido is not president. He's not. So you can't just call him president. It's like calling, I talked about how I've decided AOC's president or whatever. It's kind of like calling Hillary Clinton president. She won more votes.
It would be awesome if AOC was president. Let's just declare AOC is the brand new president. Who gives a shit what Biden is saying? AOC just start passing out executive orders. But AOC is actually wrong on Venezuela. Max Blumenthal, and she's just going to cede her fucking moral conscience to the, wicked capitalist, imperialistic Nancy Pelosi. She's going to cede her moral conscience to Nancy Pelosi. That's what AOC is going to do on Venezuela.
She won more votes.
So we need a better president than AOC. Cory Bush.
The system works.
President Cory Bush.
The Electoral College elected Trump. So fine, we can have a conversation about what happened.
No, I don't want no damn conversation. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But Hillary Clinton is not president. It's just so insane that
it is crazy that you have to say that.
toy Barbie or like a G.I. Joe. I don't know, I'm just trying to...
So in the end, we need to get, let's stop the war, stop the U.S. involvement in Venezuela, Palestine, Yemen, and Cameroon. Stop these wars. These wars are bullshit, and there's a genocide happening in Myanmar and China, and the empire should do something about it because we're the world's policemen. But at the very least, we shouldn't be perpetuating genocides. We shouldn't be killing the world's people over bullshit reasons. If they invade another country, if they're genocidal, if they're human trafficking, if they're into slavery, there's, you know, a lot of reasons. If there's a dictator like Paul Biya of Cameroon, if he's been in there for 20 years in just fraudulent election after fraudulent election for, 20 years, Maduro's been in there for 7 years. Putin's a dictator. Paul Biya is a dictator. That Belarus fucker is a dictator. So, I'm not sure what happened with Belarus, but they was all pissed off, and he was like, I'm going to stay in anyways. What you going to do about it? And that was a precursor to what was about to happen here. If Donald did stay, that would be pandemonium. That would have been a civil war on the streets. And it was over a big-ass lie. It was over a lie. Those MAGA psychos fucking will, Twain said that people, they would rather believe the lie than ever believe that they were duped. Even that one guy, the QAnon guy, his lawyer at least says he was duped. So, Anthony Blinken says the U.S. is going to recognize Juan Guiado, over and over again. Joe Biden is saying how, he's a terrible dictator and shit, so it looks to me like Juan Guaido is going to be announced as the new president by Joe Biden. And me and the European Union and Emma Vigilant, we know better.
Try to